All right, good day, people. Thanks for showing up today. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great. Uh, just wanted to do a bit of a chill stream this night. Hopefully, this live works better than it did last time. Yesterday, I tried doing this and it didn't really work as I expected. Had network issues, technical issues, and so on. So it just didn't work, so I had to bin it and put the private in unlisted. So hopefully today that doesn't happen again, and we just have a chill, maybe 1 hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour stream, and yeah, and just see what we have. So today I'm going to be talking on the hands. I'm going to be just doing like a quick drawing, like just quick sketches here and there on how I draw the hands and like some things that I've learned about drawing the hands. I'm not like the best artist, but I would say that I'm pretty confident in the hands that I draw. It can be complicated and sometimes I could draw it and it doesn't look great, but you know I'm still proud of how I draw the hands, and I just feel that's worth sharing, and definitely someone can learn something from it. I'm planning the hands is the next stage in my study that I'm going to. So definitely, if you check my videos, like if you check out my videos that I post, I'm doing like a study, and I just felt like rather than just doing the whole study in private and then like publishing like a video, single video on the study I do, I just felt like it's better to just show all the studies that I do. So in those videos, if you're interested, I did a study on the arm, and I did a study on like different parts of the human body, and I did a study on the torso most recently. So you can check that out. That I'm very sure will be helpful to some people. And then the next thing I did was that I'm planning to do. I should have done the legs next, but I just see that I missed, like the hand is part of the arm, so and I missed that, so I'm just going to do a study of the arm. Expect that is coming soon, hopefully. And then once we go to the arm, the next thing I'm going to do is the legs. So hopefully that sounds good. And since I focus a lot on comics, I'm going to be doing a lot of figure drawing and comic book videos, so expect that coming soon. So I'm just going to go quickly to the to my screen and just show you. Hopefully that's looking all right. I don't know why it's not showing me orientation on my screen. Keeps asking me to rotate my there's this thing that's just showing up on my phone screen. I don't know, it's just annoying, but it wasn't doing like that before. I don't know why all of a sudden it's suddenly asking me to rotate my screen, and it wasn't exactly like that before. So apologies for this delay. I'm just going to bone it and just it looks like I'm live, so I'm just going to bone that. Hello Gold Freddy, hello Elisa Tumin, big up, thanks for showing up, I appreciate it. Please click the like. I'm just doing a quick chill stream. I'm just going to show drawings of the hands that I'm going to do and my approach to drawing the hand, and hopefully it will be helpful to someone. You can also draw along if you're interested, and I'm just going to quickly show that here. So like there is a simple form or approach to studying or drawing the hands that I've used. It has really helped me personally, and that form is like to divide the hands right into different shapes. So for instance, now let's just draw the palm quickly. So this is our hands. I usually use a simple shape of a square or rectangle to represent the palm, and then I use another shape to represent the rest of the fingers, right? So we have two shapes here already, which you could view it as a tube, or you could view it as a rectangle, as a big rectangle, but based on the angle that I'm looking at it, this is how it's going to look. And then I put a triangle for the thumbs. I put a triangle for the thumbs like this. I put a triangle for the thumbs, and then the length of the thumb is usually it's usually like this. Yeah, so I divide it into the palm for the thumb over here as a shape, and then uh, a palm, like a normal palm, and then like a palm for the pinky finger, which is going to be over here like this. So a palm for the thumb and palm for the pinky finger. So that's what I'm doing here. If you have any questions, just let me know. I know I haven't gone far, but if you have any questions about art in general, I'm still a learner as well, so we could have a discussion about it. And then usually I just divide, have my middle finger over here, which is the longest, and then I have the second longest finger, and then the pinky finger over here. So something I usually struggle with when drawing the fingers is usually the webbing of the hands. I'm talking about like this. Usually if you look at the hands, there's a gap in the middle. It's not just straight like this. There's a bit of a gap in the middle. That's the webbing of the hands, and sometimes it does give me an issue, like a problem, like when representing it. All right, so we're adding our lines, our wrinkles. Right. I'm using a reference, by the way, so don't think that I'm just like drawing from memory. Of course, I can draw a hand from memory, but drawing reference, I suck at multitasking, so drawing from reference just make my life a whole lot easier. So use references when you're drawing, please. Even though I've been drawing for years, I still like to use references for stuff. The only time when that I don't use reference when I'm trying to be fast and doing like a storyboard for a comic or something like that. Right. So one thing about the palm, when you draw it, even though like there are underlying details and depending on how skinny or bony the person is that this palm, it's quite obvious, and I know I'm stating the obvious, but this area of the thumb is usually curved and this area is usually drawn straight. So that's why whenever you're drawing it, in as much as I say you're using a triangle, at the end of the day the shape does look like this, right? And this representing the arm, this representing the palm for the pinky finger, and this for the thumb. Right, so you could view it like that, or you could just imagine it as a simple paper, right? So something like this, like a folded paper, right? Whenever you're drawing something as simple like this to represent the plane of the arm, and then based on your reference you can then begin detailing it to make it look good. So that's it for the hands. I'm just going to color it. I like coloring it because it well, it kind of keeps me sane and help me identify what I'm drawing easily. I think I should speed up. I'm not used to this live thing, so I think I'm getting carried away by just one drawing when I should be increasing my pace. All right, let me just add the color real quick. I'm going to put this red, make it a bit muted. So now I'm going to have our fingers like this. And then I'm going to put the palm, color for the palm. It's going to come like this. Probably should have chosen a much more different color to show how stark the difference is. Then the pinky palm, and then the palm for the thumb. And with that, it's going to be easy to identify, the palm in any angle that we're drawing it. And I'm just going to do one for the front view, for the back of the hands, I mean. The same technique, but rather instead of seeing a pinky palm, we're going to see like just a normal palm. And then we're going to have our finger, our thumb over here. This is how I draw it. I just try to make it simple as possible. Nails are also important because they're kind of like a unique plane on the hands, I mean. And they usually follow the form of the fingers. So, and one way that I noted, like for drawing the fingers, is that one quick way is that you could draw the fingers like this, like these hard edges, right? And then just use like simple line like this to just represent it, and to just make drawing that part of the finger a lot more easier. And another quick fact about the finger, drawing the finger, is that the shape of each, will I call them digit now, is quite different, in the sense that every finger like has these three parts, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, and these first parts are usually the longest part, these second parts are usually the second longest part, and these third parts are usually the shortest part among the three divisions of the fingers. Yeah, I said I greeted you back. Bro. Oh, it's a different person. Hello, Edge. Rube Osiabuvo. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, man. Hello, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a nice night, a chill night on the internet. I'm just doing like a chill stream. I'm just doing like a chill stream. I'm starting out this YouTube live stuff, so I'm not really that great at it. So just bear with me. I'm going to get better. My personality will improve, I promise. So I'm a bit nervous and awkward, but hopefully, could have cool discussions. I'm a comic artist. I do comic books. Well, at least I try to. It's what I try to do. I'm not consistent with it, but I do comic books. You can check out my comics in Global Comic. Does anyone here do comic books as well? Because that's what I focus on, and I you know do my learning and trying to improve on at least. So if you have any discussions about comic book, I haven't been reading comics, but today I'm a huge fan of David Finch. I read his comic books a lot. He's the type of artist I you know look up to in terms of art style. Not necessarily how much he details, because he can go beat ham a lot on his detailing, but he's still the type of artist I look at in terms of how he does his blacks, apply his blacks and whatnot. Yeah. So recently, like just today, I was reading his comic, the comic he did with Robert Kirkman. I think it's Skin Breaker, and that was a lot of fun. I think they are working on the issue 6. I stopped at issue 5. So you can go and check that out. It's a pretty cool comic. Very simplistic, like in the plot, but it's still cool. Does anybody here have a favorite comic? What do they, or favorite comic book artist? What do they like to read? What genre? Mine is action. I like the superhero stuff, but like I don't know. I don't, or probably I haven't seen them, but I like fantasy too. I like fantasy. I do read some fantasy books, audiobooks, not yeah, I can't afford the books, like the books, and I don't think they you can get them in Nigeria over here where I am. So I just listen to the audiobooks. uh yeah, I'm taking my sweet time with this. I should be moving forward. Yeah, so that's just the, like, when you're breaking out the hand, like just breaking it down into this 4 parts can really simplify things for you, so that you can able to get the structure down. I'm just going to like put down the names rather. um, um Hello, Kira. I said when you were young you liked a book called Amulets, but you don't really read anymore due to being obsessed with your phone and all. Yeah, the phone addiction is a struggle that I believe everybody in every generation is struggling with. Like it's so hard to like settle down and actually create, because like there are a lot of amazing things that are out there, like to see, whether it's even on TikTok. I do try to time myself on like TikTok, like put a timer on TikTok and Instagram. I don't really like Instagram like that, but and even on X I do try to time myself. The book Amulet, what was it about? Is it an a fantasy? Was it a sci-fi? What was it? Was it romance? Like, what was it about? Because the book that I'm currently reading is basically my vibe, to be honest. The one I'm currently reading, that's Skin Breaker by David Finch. It's uh it's about like two people, or would I say two factions, that are struggling to like maintain the old way of doing things, and one that is trying to look to the future. So they are kind of clashing because of that idea that they're having. So you know. And it's quite interesting. Very simple plot, but it's 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 the simple things that actually draw us to, because there are lots of stories like that, but it depends on your execution as a creator or writer. That's what actually makes the story come to life. All right, so we have we call it thumb palm. I also read manga, but not a lot these days though, because uh, because of work, and there was a time I actually got a bit jaded with manga. So the way I started reading. All right, okay, all right, Kira, all right. Yeah, I did have some. My first introduction to comic was when I read. There's this. I don't know whether it's South African or Nigerian, but at the time I thought it was Nigerian. But it's a book called Super Strikers. I do believe they are still in production. So it was just about football, and football is pretty popular in over here in Africa, especially Nigeria. And I still that's actually what drew me into manga, because I first read Blue Lock. When was it? Was it 2023 thereabouts, or 2022? I can't remember, because I first watched the manga. I actually watched the anime. I watched like two episodes, and then I found it interesting because I'm into like football. So I just couldn't wait for the next episode. So I saw that there was a manga, and I couldn't believe it. And it was a treat for me. So I just dived into the manga, and I read about 70 issues that night. So that was how I actually got into like reading manga, and like discover this whole new style and medium of how people like express themselves with art and comic. And they do have their similarities with Western comic. Uh, and like that was where I actually discovered a lot of my favorite artists like till now. So guys like Inoue, I do believe Inoue is like the top artist, and Yusuke Murata, and like to me they are like one of the greatest comic book artists of all time in terms of like the skill of drawing. Like they are amazing. All right, so I'm just going to like break another angle of the hands here quickly. Kira, do you read manga, or do you read like what do you read these days? I know you said you've been obsessed with your phone lately. Uh, I have as well, but I still have my other passions. And even though I don't read comic a lot, um, I still like whenever like a top artist that I like is working on something, I do try to get into it and read what they've done. So someone like Ryan Otley, for instance, I do enjoy his work a lot. I can't lie. So whenever he's doing something, like for instance, he's working on Battle Beast, a comic book called Battle Beast, and I'm just reading it. I haven't caught up to where they are right now. It's a new comic, pretty new comic. All right. So I'm just starting with a simple shape, like to break down the hands. And just try and make it. Kira, okay, you said you're unemployed and live under your parents' roof. So, really, in order to read something you would have to check it out at school or ask for parents to purchase it. Oh, all right, I understand. When I was younger, what I did, you probably wouldn't relate to this, but I liked cartoons a lot. So, like this Justice League, there was this popular Justice League cartoon, and I like I couldn't afford it. So what I would do is that I would use like savings from my lunch money. I wouldn't eat lunch for like a whole term, and then I'll use my lunch money, like the entire savings, and I'll use them and and just get the like the TV shows or the movies and cartoons that I would like to watch. I probably can't relate to that because everything is online now. But back in the day, um, I had to like save up my lunch money to be able to watch some shows. All right, so we have the box shape of the palm over here connected to the wrist. Then we have the base of the thumb over here. And then the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to add the thumb pad for this angle. Uh, Kira, what are you studying in school exactly? Are you like still in high school, secondary school, or you're in college? Or because if you're in secondary school, it's quite, isn't it late? You should go to sleep, man. Said back in the day, sacrifices were real. That was back in the day. Also, in any way, at some point, one time, you could. Yeah, definitely, in your own time. Uh, yeah, but I still believe they still give lunch money these days. Like parents don't like send people out there like to starve, right? So we're going to add the thumb over here. High school junior, okay, okay, high school junior. All right, all right. Um, I honestly don't know about the what they call it, the school system over there. It has always confused me because over here in Nigeria, our school system is quite similar to that of like the UK. So we have what do they call it? We have like nursery school, right? Or like or we call them. We have the daycare, right? And then we have the nursery school, and then we have the primary school, or uh, preschool. I believe that's what they call it over there. And then we have the secondary school, which they call high school over there. And then we have the university. We call it university, but I believe they call it college over there. So it's quite different, and sometimes the ages in which you guys finish school is quite different from ours because I finished secondary school, or I believe it's called high school there. I finished high school at like 16, 17. So but I heard that you guys finished high school at around 18 years. So that was always that's always confused me. Whenever I watched shows like Smallville, I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Like the characters were always saying they were like 17, 18. And I just couldn't relate to being in like secondary school at like 18. He said you are going to ask for a clothing tutorial because like everyone talks about the type of clothes, but not how to actually paint the forms of the clothing. Yeah, like to be honest, I don't know much about like clothing and folds. Like I guess I understand the basics in the sense of like gravity and whatnot. Like if you have a normal clothing like this, right? And let me just do this in a different let me do this in a different layer. So what I understand like from it. Okay, okay. You say you don't understand what the lines actually doing a lot of the time. All right. So, you said 16, 17. Yeah, yeah. We do finish school at around 16, 17 because our high school or secondary school, as they call it, it's usually 6 years. So we'll enter junior secondary. We have junior secondary school, and then we have senior secondary school, um, which is 3 years each. So usually, I believe I entered secondary school at like, I don't know, 9 or 10. I don't remember. Like, I was quite young. Yeah. But anyways, I'm going to show you like what I know from the clothing. Like just here, like since we're here. I'm just going to show you quickly. So what I understand, I'll try to learn this and just do a video on it. But what I understand from clothing is that you have a cloth right here, right? Like let's just have a t-shirt right here like this, right? We have clothing right here, and like everything around us works based on gravity, right? That's why, like, even we humans as humans, right, we the way we are is based on gravity, especially if you look at people's faces, right? If you look at someone when they are like in their 20s, right, and when they are old, you see that like they have a lot of lines on their faces. Like if we're talking about lines, they have a lot of lines in their faces, and that is because, and you see that everything is sagging, and that is because, like, to an extent, gravity has forced their skin down. So you are going to see a lot of eye bags. They're going to see a lot of droopiness all around the body, right? Like you see wrinkles, and because of, let's say, their consistent facial expression, maybe like in total they've laughed about 200,000 times or 200 million times throughout their entire life. Everything just goes down. Gravity makes things go down, right? So I know that was a bit of an exaggeration, but gravity is what affects clothing. So let's say you pick up a cloth, right, on the edges, right? You pick up a cloth. The reason that cloth is going to, let's say with your fingers, the reason that you get lines down on that cloth is because of the form of the clothing, right? It's because of the form of the clothing, and everything, is just going to go down like this. It's because of the form of the clothing, and wherever like the person is holding, like the point of impact of the cloth, wherever it is, that's how you're sort of going to see, like, understand how the cloth looks, right? So, and these lines over here on the clothing, they are called creases. Okay, they are called creases. And okay, take note of the shadow as well, based on the light's direction. Right, so this is a cloth that is being held up, right? So these lines over here, they are called creases. You also see them in your arm. So there was a video I did where I talked about like the anatomy. Like I've forgotten specifically what it was about, but it was still talking about anatomy, right? And basically what I was talking about is that we have our skeleton. Human beings, we have our skeleton, right? Skeletal system. That scare. What am I doing? Skeleton. Right, we have a skeletal system, and then we have our muscles, right? Muscles and tissues, and and then finally we have our skin, which is the largest organ in our body, right? So now the skin acts like a clothing for the human body. That's why whenever you look at an arm, I've been on arms lately. That's why whenever you look at an arm, you're going to see creases. You're going to see creases over here, and even at a face, like a person's eye, right? When you look at a person's eye, there are creases over at the eyes, and even when like they frown, you're going to see creases on their eyes and then their eye bags, right? So you could, and this happens because of like the new form that that shape of the face takes. And you can also apply that to clothing. And also the material. So gravity affects clothing, the material of the clothing. So depending on the material, but it still gets affected by gravity nonetheless. So whatever fabric it is that you're using, or whatever material that is being worn, it gets affected by gravity. So the material of the cloth, it looks different, and then you have to take into consideration the shape of the body, right? So let's just take a quick let's see, I should have a quick reference. I'll just show you right now. Let's look for clothing with creases, right? So look at this man over here, right? Like, the first thing about any drawing is that you have to, get the shape of the character or whatever it is that you're drawing, right? Right, get the shape of the character. You don't just start with the clothing, right? So get the shape. Let me just do this quickly. Right. The mistake people usually make is that they always want to get the drawings right the first time. You just have to take your time and don't worry about perfection. But I'm still talking about the clothes, don't worry. So we have this guy over here in this pose. Speaking of hands, we have a hand over here. I believe I got it first time. All right, so we have this guy over here and he's in this pose, right? And you can see he's wearing clothes. Now if you look at the shape of his body, based on his movement and the material that he's wearing, he's not wearing like a big jacket, right? Even though he's wearing like a big jacket, this creasing will still show. So based on, that's why I say like using reference is very important. I don't just, the way I draw, even these top artists, the way they draw, they don't just draw like that. They get references, and most times they could do like 3D simulations. Like, that's if they have the budget, to be fair. But anyways, he's wearing a wife beater or a singlet, right? And based on his position and how he's twisting his torso, you can see, and the shape of his chest, how muscular he is. If he were more muscular than this, like, there probably wouldn't be a lot of creasing on his body. It will probably be like really tight, right? And the creasing will just be, let's say, 1 or 2, right? But because of like he has like he's the what do they call it now? The wife beater is quite big, right? You're seeing like there is a lot of creasing over here on his clothing. And the way to represent that is to use a lot of shadows, right? So let me just draw this like quickly. Let me just like put this shape, establish this shape. Right, like, so you have to take note of where your light direction is. So it seems, if you look at the image, the light is coming pretty strongly from his right, which is our left, right? The light is coming in this direction. So you can see that even on his skin is pretty vibrant, like the light is pretty intense. So on the clothing, the creasing, the areas that there's a lot of creasing, which is like these areas, you're going to see a lot of black and whatnot. So you just add your shadow, and then you can see that very simply we've added our creasing over here. And then the lines comes about like I know I mentioned about gravity, but like contraction and relaxation, right? When a trouser is relaxed, like let's say you're wearing a pretty decent sized trouser or shorts, and you're just standing in a normal position, and the cloth is pretty comfortable, you're not going to see much creasing. The only creasing you're going to see is, let's say the person puts his hand in his pocket, and that's when you're going to see creasing all over the, like on that area that there is there is contact or impact. And then you're going to also see creasing, like if the person wore a belt, for instance. Let's say this is his belt buckle. You're going to see creasing over here. Let's say he puts his hands in his trouser. You're going to see creasing over here, and those are the areas you're going to see the creasing. Basically, you're not going to see it on the rest of his trouser, especially if it's a decent sized trouser. Yeah, so I think that's all I can say about creasing for now. You can see something like this because of how he's in a squatting position. You can see that I don't know what to call this part, this zipper area of his clothing. Don't forget the lighting as well. You can see the zipper area of his clothing. This area is quite dark. You can see, let me just zoom out a bit so that I can see, get the whole image that I'm drawing. And when I do my shading, I do try to put the shadows in shapes so that they can be a bit easier to draw. And then yeah, so, and you can see because his legs aren't straight, and because of how a bit the cloth is quite tight a bit in this area, so then we are going to see creasing out in that area as well. Yeah, and we've done a pretty convincing crease on this guy's clothing. Not the best, but I'm someone that's still learning, so but this is what I understand from creasing. You take note of the movement of the character, the contraction, and how they relax, like how relaxed the motion is, and that usually affects the drawing. And then there's this thing I forgot to mention. You could use X, Y, Z lines for your creasing. So what that means is that, like, if you have a cloth like this, you could use like X, right? Right, something like this. Okay, said for you, your issue isn't drawing the lines or shape of the folds, but like how to actually give the clothing folds form. Okay, another issue I have is being too stubborn not to use references. But anyway, carry on with the XYZ thing, please. I barely see any of that strategy. All right, so what the XYZ is like, if you look at a shadow, like a clothing, make sure to use references, by the way. Make sure to use references. Very important. If you have a clothing, and let's say you have like a short, like even, let me just put this next to it so that we can use this. Depending on how much volume the cloth is, right, you could get let's see, you could get creasing like this. So you see I've created a Y shape, right? I've created a Y shape over here like this, right? Right. And then you could also do the Z or reverse Z, right, on the clothing. and then you could make your drawing have a bit more depth and form. So yeah, and you could make them really small, right? You can make them really small. Un momento. You can make them really small, but make sure you are following the motion of the character. And the same thing can even happen with human skin, right? If you look at this lady's skin, right, because of her body fat percentage, you are seeing that there's creasing at this part of her abdomen, just like in a cloth. Let's say this her belly button. You can see because of the fact that there's a stretch on her skin, you're seeing, like, we could say this is a Y, to be fair. This is a Y creasing on her skin. And by just adding color, we'll just make it a bit more. And because there's a stretch in this area, there'll be a compression in this other part of her skin, just like with a cloth. The only difference is that clothes are much more bigger, so the creasing angle is, it's not going to, it's going to be a lot more. So like, I don't know if you've seen people that are actually, let's say they gained significant amount of weight, like people with Baymax physique, right? People that gained significant amount of weight in their life, and then all of a sudden they decided to lose that weight, right? You see that drastically, right? All of a sudden their bodies, they would have muscle, right? But then their bodies will be a bit saggy. I don't know how to draw that here. Let me just do this. All of a sudden their body and their muscles would be a bit saggy, because they would have the muscle, but then their skin would be saggy like this. They would have like a flabby skin over here, and they've lost the weight, but you're going to see a lot of creasing on parts of their body. Let's say this is their stomach, and then you're going to see a lot of flab, not necessarily because they are fat, but like they've lost the weight drastically. And then you're going to see things like a curved Y creasing, curved Y creasing, right? And then you see things like this all over their skin, but they are, they are pretty muscly. But I don't know, I hope that I helped a bit. But if you want to learn more about this, just go and check out David Finch. Just type on YouTube, type David Finch clothing, and you're going to get a bit more detail. But at the moment, this is the limitation of my knowledge. But just try to spot any drawing that you're looking at. Just try to spot this XYZ. Oh my god, I think I messed up there. Just try to spot this XYZ. You're going to find it. And always take note of the silhouettes of the cloth, and you're going to draw really convincing clothing. And use references. I know you said that's a weakness of yours, so like, just use references, bro. Just use references. Right, I'm just looking for if I have another reference of a cloth that has creasing. All right, like, look at this jersey, right? I don't know if you can see it, right? But based on his top, right? Let's just do his top just real quick before I get back to the hands. And just draw that real quick. Right, so you can see that the cloth is following the shape of his hands and the position of his hands, right? And based on the amount of room in the material, I think I botched that. Bear with me now. All right, let's just use this. Let's just use this shape. Right, so you can see because his torso is stretched out a bit and because of the size of his material, you are seeing a bit of creasing over here, and you can see how it kind of looks like a reverse Z, right? And then there's going to be a shadow. Right now, look at the creasing over at this area. Let me just import this image so that you can see it, because I'm just waffling here and you might not get it immediately. So let's just reduce, let me just reduce the opacity, and I'll just use a different color. All right, so if you look at this, you can see a Y here, right? You can see a Z, right? You can see, look at this guy over here, you can see an X. All right, so when you draw it, you can just do like this, right? And just put the shadows over here, over here. And based on the shadow too, like the shadows are very important. And you have your X creasing. And then you have a little bit of that over here too, but it's not exact. It's not an exact science, but XYZ. This is a Y, a reverse Y, creasing over here. So I think, yeah, that's the limit of my knowledge. I'm definitely leaving out a lot of things, but I'm not a master of drawing fabric and clothing. So yeah, that's all I can offer at the moment. But just take note of the creasing, and the more you draw, the better you're going to get at it. Like, see over here in this like pubic region, I don't think I have a sample of someone with clothing, but you're going to see something similar to this. Even if you just look at a mirror, you're going to see a creasing similar to this. Right, yeah, and that's all I have for clothing though. I do believe one day I'm going to do a study on it. So yeah, you're welcome, man. You're welcome anytime. Based on my level of knowledge, I'll try and talk about whatever art question you have. But do check out David Finch's video. He's actually really good at this stuff. He's like one of the, I would say he's my top 5 favorite comic book artists, and he has a huge portfolio and body of work. So if you check out his work, you will definitely improve. I promise you, you definitely improve. And whenever you have art questions like that, and whenever you listen to someone that you asked the question, or whether it's on YouTube or wherever, like, don't just rely on that material. Kind of go out and look at what other people are looking at. Like, go to Pinterest. I'm very sure there are like resources on Pinterest that break down clothing in a shorter amount of time than what I just did here. I just spent about 15-20 minutes explaining this, but I believe there are better ways. There's a more better way to like articulate like what I've just said. All right, back to the hands here. So we're just adding the rough shape for the fingers, right? And then we'll then finally add the fingers itself. This is a pretty tough angle. The way I draw fingers is the way I do approach every anatomy in general, right? So I use the stickman technique, In as much as I treat them like tubes, but I still use the stick mount technique. So as you can see, wherever you're placing the hand, so what I mean by stick mount technique is this, right? So let's say you have a hand here like this, right? Now let me just look for, let's say you have a hand here like this, and you want the hand, your palm to be facing downwards, right? So I just use, what am I talking about? Right, I just use this, 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 and this, and then this to place the hands. It's the same thing I do for like all the anatomy I draw, whether it be leg or fingers. Yeah, just something this simple. And don't forget the webbings of the fingers as well. They're very important. But anyways, back to this. And then lastly, we're just going to add the final detail for the fingers. The refined sketch. That should be sharper. Another thing is line width. Take note of the line width. Line width also helps to indicate the location of the shadow. Right. And then we have our refined hands. As simple as that. So I'm just going to label this. There's a box shape. Box shape. And then we added the base of the thumb. Then we added the thumb itself. And then the rough shape of the fingers. And then the individual fingers. And then the refined sketch. I'm going to do like study videos where I break all this stuff down, and you're going to see how I study whenever I'm drawing the arm, or I mean the hands, and right, so, and then like we could just quickly break it down in the sense of like the simple shapes, right? So we have our thumb over here. Our thumb over here, our palm thumb, and then we have our palm itself. And then we have our pinky palm, I believe, pinky palm. then finally the fingers. I don't like that color. I'm gonna make it purple. Alright. Yeah, and with that, I've quickly broken down the palm, I believe. I don't like this color at all. Anyways, but I hope this is helpful. The next thing I'm just going to quickly do is that I'm going to talk about like the kind of like the length of the arm, of the palm, of the hands rather. I know I talked about that roughly, but let's just quickly look at it. Right, so we have our hands, right? Simple shape. Make sure simple shape. Take note of that. I'm going to keep saying that probably to the day I die. But anyways, simple shape of the arm. And then the pinky over here. And then the three middle fingers. Right before the thumb. Right, so the thumb, the position of the pinky finger, it usually reaches the top joint of the ring finger, right? So I'm talking about this guy over here, this guy over here, right before the middle finger. So I should probably make that shorter. Right? Like this. Look at me adjusting it. It can be a fraud at times. But anyways, right, that's our ring finger. And then the ring and the index fingers, they usually reach the half point of the middle finger, right? Right? Because we have this palm over here, right? And that's not like sort of where the finger ends, right? We have these knuckles over here like this, right? So these guys, middle finger over here will go down, and it's just going to be a little bit above this guy over here like this. The joints are going to be a little bit below it. And because of the angle and the shape of the joints, you're going to have to take note of the sorry. I have to take care of some business. All right. What am I doing? How is the undo misbehaving? Anyways, our thumb, like our thumb finger, actually stays at the angle of this like this joint, the joint where the rest of the fingers actually stay. So the thumb is just going to, like, if you just look at it, if you look at your thumb, you can see it, even like with the lines on your the lines on your hands, you'll be able to see that. And then you add the wrist style out process of the owner over here. That's the hand. That looks extremely rough, and it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. I probably don't. But anyways, I'm just going to refine this a bit to make it look cleaner, so you see what I'm talking about. The reason for these studies is so that you challenge yourself on things that you are not good at, right? I know how to draw the hands, right? But there are probably some angles when drawing the hands that I am not good at, that I am really shaky on. So the reason for studying is so that I get better at those angles. Sometimes the pinky, not the pinky, the middle finger and the, what do they call this finger that you point with? This pointy finger, they are usually the same length, but usually the middle finger is the longest and then the pinky finger is the second longest. Don't forget your knuckles. What the hell is that? Okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to put black makeup. Right, and then I'll just do that. Yeah, I think my brain is no longer braining. I'm a bit tired. Yeah, that's the excuse for drawing crap. Yeah, but anyways, that is this angle, and I'm just going to quickly do another angle. Don't forget the palm. I think a mistake I've been making here is that when you're drawing this side, like this palm, right, it should be the same length as this. So we have them 50-50. And then don't forget the shape, triangle shape for the thumb. And then don't forget our pinky palm area. Right, so don't forget the length of the tongue, right? It's equivalent to the, like where it starts when it's curved. It's equivalent to the length of where the joints of the rest of the fingers actually begin. So just a quick tip, you know. Always try to, I do make this mistake a lot, and I have made this mistake here in this video, but try to like get the shape of the entire, like the silhouette of the entire work or the entire drawing. It will help you make less mistakes like I did. Yeah, hands can be difficult, I can't lie. But anyways, I do believe I'm quite chill with what I've drawn here. Yeah, I think that's good. Right, so about that pinky finger thing. Right, so the hands, right, one thing I've learned, I don't know if you know about this, but if you put your hands in a straight line, right, you can see that the hands are not necessarily straight, right? So what I mean by that is, I wish I had a reference of my own hands. All right, I have a reference of it. I'm just gonna put it by the side. Like if you look at the hands, like let's say this is our wrist area, right? And then you're going to see a bit of a dip right here of our hands, and then you see this bit of fat that comes here. You're going to see the thumb area like this. Yeah, that's how the hand looks. The hand isn't straight like this. Like that's not how the hand looks. It's not straight like that. The only thing that can make it straight like that is if you're pushing the arm upwards, right? If you push the arm, this is our wrist, and let's say you push the arm upwards a bit like this. And just put this here. That's the only time that it is straight. Right, so this is actually how the arm looks. Just a quick tip over here. Right. But anyways, regarding the bones, right, in the fingers, they are very, if you look at your finger, even people with chubby fingers, the bones on their arms, on their fingers are quite pronounced, right? So let's say this is a finger. Let's see, you're going to see the fact that the joints you're going to see the joints. These are the joints, these areas here. They are the joints, and you're going to see that these areas are quite chubby. And then we have our nails, right? And because we have our like phalanges or skeleton that are inside here, and that's the reason why you're seeing that poke out. And remember what I said about the size and the length of each joint, right? This is our longest, this is our second longest, and this is our third longest. So so we are going to see a lot of fat at this upper side of the bone. I said you're going to see a lot of bone, like the bone sticking out of that area of your hand, of your fingers, and while you're going to see a lot of fat at this lower area, right? So you can even see that in a view like this. Right, like this. And then our knuckles over here. Right, so you could sort of use this shape to draw the hand. So that's the bony part of the hand, and it's going to be poking out of the fingers. As simple as that. So whenever you are drawing, another thing I've learned is that whenever you're making a fist, right, of your hands, like you're making a fist like this, I forget what I just did here. It's ideal to just start with a simple shape like this, and then go like this, and then like this. That's the best way, in my opinion, to draw a quick fist. Yeah, but just forget what I did here. When you make a fist, right, a fist isn't usually like this, right? The fingers are not straight like this. They are usually curving towards the second palm, like they're usually going like in this direction. So both the pinky, the middle finger, and they all go towards the pinky palm area. That's what I'm trying to say, rather. So because it's focusing on grabbing. So you don't grab like this, you grab like this. And when you are grabbing, you're seeing that things are curving inwards. Things are curving inwards. All right, I've been here for quite a while. Let me see. I can't lie, I'm enjoying this. All right, so that's just a simple way to draw a fist. Just a simple way to draw a fist. So what I'm going to say about the arms is that, like, always think of it as a three-dimensional shape, right? Even a paper is three-dimensional, no matter how lean it looks. A paper is three-dimensional. So even with a simple plain shape as a paper, you can be able to draw a decent enough convincing finger. You can draw a decent finger. So just bear that at the back of your mind. Like, focus on your 3D shapes, focus on your simple shapes. The hands can be a bit complex, and that's because it's a fluid. You can kind of twist and give it different forms. It's a fluid part of the body, right? So it's very important to, like, the only way you're going to get better at drawing the arm or the hands rather is like to actually practice it. The more you practice it, the better you're going to get at drawing it. and it's as simple as that. Same thing goes for the rest of the body. Right. There's this thing I saw on Pinterest about drawing a fist, right? Like or like a flying Superman pose. Like, so there's this, the way they draw the knuckles is that they would draw, let's just put the 1, 2, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? They would put in the knuckles, they would put like a triangle, right? A triangle shape for this. They'll put a square shape for this knuckle, the second knuckle, and then they'll put another triangle shape for this knuckle, and then I believe they put a square shape. Is this square shape? I think it's a square shape for this knuckle over here, and that's going to give your, that's an exaggeration of what I just did there, but that's going to give your knuckles a bit more personality. And then you could add your wrinkles, and then shadow. And then we have our knuckles. Yeah, and that's I believe that's it for now. I'm going to do more videos. I'm going to do more videos on drawing the hands, right? I'm going to do more videos on drawing the hands. One thing I forgot to mention is that the hands, right? The hands of babies, the hands rather, they go from the face. Like if you look at the length, they go from your face to your hairline, right? From the wrist down here, in terms of your face, they go from your face to your hairline. Well, not everybody's hairline, because adults do have, not adults, most adults do have a receding hairline. So, like, I'm not saying your hands are going to go all the way to your hairline over here. That's how your hands look. But it's just like a simplification of how the arm looks. But like for babies, their hands, for babies and children, their hands are a bit like smaller in comparison to the size of their head. That's why you see babies, they look very cute because of like the size of the proportions of their head, the proportions of their eyes in relation to their body. So it's quite adorable, to be honest. So I'm going to do more videos. I'm going to try and do more lives as well. I do have a bit of internet connection most time, like problem here, but eventually it's going to get better, and I hope to do more live, really. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'll see you in another video very soon. I'm going to do a new video like studying the arm, so hopefully you can learn something from that too as well. So I hope you learned something here. Please like the video. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, so please, if you've not subscribed, please just help a boy out and just subscribe. I'm starting out this live thing, and I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you're learning something, and we can get to interact with each other. So I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.